The vision board was filled, the affirmations were spoken, the crystals carefully placed, and the late-night journaling sessions carried question after question into the universe, asking for a sign. Every book was read, every podcast absorbed, every technique tried, all chasing one thing: alignment. And yet, every morning began with a quiet ache, a subtle anxiety, a whisper beneath every ritual. Why isn't it working? Why doesn't it feel real yet? Maybe that feeling is familiar. The work has been done, the thoughts aligned, the visualizations practiced, the affirmations repeated, but deep down, something feels missing. It becomes a frustrating cycle. Everything is done the way it was taught, and still the shift refuses to arrive. This is the silent trap so many seekers fall into. The promise is always, seek and you shall find. But what if the very act of seeking is the reason it keeps slipping away? What if the search itself is the signal that tells the quantum field it's not here yet? And the quantum field, faithful as it always is, mirrors that exact message back. This is the hidden glitch inside nearly every manifestation practice. The tools aren't failing. The frequency carried while using them is what creates the block. The belief is that the dream exists somewhere outside, that it must be reached or achieved. But the deeper truth is that the search creates the distance. It affirms the lack. And in a quantum universe, what is affirmed is what is received. The more the search continues, the more the story repeats. It isn't here. That is why so many get caught in the endless loop. The harder they try, the farther away it feels. But this message isn't about adding another strategy or another technique to chase after. It's about remembering something more powerful, something that has been hidden beneath the noise of all the rituals. What is being looked for is already looking back. And there is a shift far more magnetic than affirmations, more powerful than techniques. That shift is simple. Stop searching. Become the observer. Pause for a moment and let that truth settle. Think of those times when life began to flow only after the effort stopped, when opportunities appeared right after surrender replaced struggle. That wasn't luck. That wasn't random. That was resonance. The moment searching stops, the vibration of not having it dissolves. Presence returns. Stillness takes over. Awareness sharpens. And that is the state the quantum field responds to. The shift is subtle, but it changes everything. The seeker who feels separate from the dream disappears, and what remains is the observer, the one who knows. In that knowing, alignment clicks into place. Potential collapses into form, not because it was chased, but because it was matched. Yet this isn't how most of us were trained to live. From the earliest days, the conditioning begins. Chase success, strive for approval, hustle for worth, look outside for validation, love, and recognition. And even on the spiritual path, the same conditioning follows. Meditation becomes another way to chase peace. Journaling becomes another way to chase abundance. Visualization becomes another way to chase the future. Beneath every method lives the same silent assumption: I am not it yet. And the quantum field hears that vibration more loudly than any affirmation. It responds not to words, but to frequency. So the practices are not wrong. The energy brought into them is what shapes the result. Imagine flipping the entire lens. Instead of searching harder, what if the real power lies in observing differently? Because observation is not passive, it is creative. Modern physics has proven this. The simple act of observation influences how particles behave. Before observation, reality exists as waves of probability. The moment attention is placed, the wave collapses into one outcome. And the outcome is not random. It is influenced by the state of the observer. Consciousness is not a passive witness of reality, it is an active shaper of it. Every time attention is placed, every time observation happens from a certain state of being, reality bends to match that state. That is why the role of the observer is sacred, but the quality of observation is everything. If attention comes from doubt, from lack, from neediness, the reality that collapses will echo that signal. If attention comes from trust, from presence, from wholeness, the field organizes around that vibration. Searching backfires because searching is observing from absence. It is looking through the lens of, I don't have it yet. And that is exactly what reflects back. This isn't punishment, this is coherence. The field mirrors the signal with precision, and the signal comes not from words, but from identity. Who the observer believes themselves to be is what the field aligns with. This is where science and ancient wisdom meet. Long before quantum mechanics, mystics taught that the outer world mirrors the inner observer. Neville Goddard spoke of it clearly. Reality reflects what you are, not what you want. Quantum physics now confirms the same. Awareness is not a camera recording reality, it is a filter selecting the version of reality that matches its state. Think of consciousness as a lens. If the lens is clouded with scarcity, every image reflects scarcity. If the lens is tuned to abundance, life presents abundance. The real work is not chasing outcomes, it is shifting the observer. Because when the observer changes, the observation changes. And when the observation changes, reality reorganizes. The power is not in looking harder, it is in looking differently. That is the invitation hidden within the role of the observer.
Becoming the observer is not about detachment in the cold sense of the word, it is about awareness. It is about realizing that awareness itself is the creative force and that everything flows from it. When attention rests in awareness, the entire game changes. Instead of running after reality, reality begins to arrange itself in response. Think about the moments when clarity suddenly appeared without effort. The answer came not because of endless searching, but because space was created for it to arrive. The observer holds that space. The observer does not need to control or chase. The observer simply notices. And in that noticing, a doorway opens. Life starts to feel less like a problem to solve and more like a rhythm to move with. This is the secret hidden in plain sight, the thing mystics, sages, and now even scientists have been pointing to in different ways. Observation shapes reality. But the quality of observation depends on the state of the observer. So how does one shift into this state? The first step is presence. Not the kind of presence that requires hours of silence in a cave, but simple awareness of this moment right here. The mind loves to wander into what has not yet happened or what should have happened in the past. The observer pulls attention back to what is. Feel the breath. Notice the body. Notice the space around you. In that noticing, the restless energy of seeking begins to dissolve. The frequency softens. Presence is powerful because it removes the vibration of lack. Lack cannot survive in the present moment. Lack lives in the story of the future and the memory of the past. But right now, in this second, there is simply awareness. And awareness is whole. This is why so many breakthroughs happen not when someone is trying, but when they are simply present. The second step is trust. This may sound intangible, but trust is a frequency, and like every frequency, it resonates outward. When awareness is colored by doubt, the observation collapses reality into more doubt. When awareness is infused with trust, the field responds with synchronicity. Trust does not mean blind belief, it means alignment with the deeper intelligence that has been organizing reality since before you were born. Consider how a seed knows how to become a tree, or how the heart continues to beat without conscious instruction. That same intelligence is what the field responds to. Trust is the willingness to lean into that flow. The observer who trusts becomes magnetic, because there is no resistance, no frantic grasping. And without resistance, the quantum field flows smoothly. The third step is identity. This is perhaps the most powerful shift. To observe as someone who lacks will always call forth more lack. To observe as someone who already is will call forth confirmation of that state. This is not about pretending or forcing, it is about remembering. The field responds not to effort, but to coherence. When identity aligns with abundance, abundance becomes the reflection. When identity aligns with peace, peace becomes the reflection. This is why techniques only work when the identity behind them has shifted. Affirming, "I am abundant," 100 times means nothing if deep down the identity still whispers, "I am not enough." But when the observer shifts identity, the field has no choice but to follow. Reality is not stubborn, it is obedient. It mirrors the signal with absolute precision. Let's take an example. Imagine someone repeating affirmations for love every morning. The words say love, but the feeling underneath is emptiness, loneliness, need. The observation being sent into the field is not love, it is absence. And so the field responds with more absence. Now imagine the same person dropping into presence, remembering wholeness, observing life from a state of already being complete. Suddenly, the energy is different. There is no frantic search, no missing piece. That frequency is observed by the field, and in coherence, reality begins to deliver reflections of that state. This is why surrender often works better than striving. Surrender shifts the identity from lack to wholeness, from absence to presence. This brings us to the paradox at the heart of manifestation. The more you want something, the more you affirm its absence. The moment you stop needing it, it begins to flow. This does not mean you should suppress desire. Desire is natural, but desire must be paired with the observer's awareness. Instead of grasping for the outcome, hold it lightly. Observe it as if it already belongs to you, because in the quantum field, it does. All possible realities already exist as probability waves. The observer selects which wave collapses. Desire without awareness chooses from absence. Desire with awareness chooses from alignment. Now let's go deeper into the science. The double-slit experiment showed that observation itself changes how particles behave. Light acts like a wave until observed, at which point it collapses into particles. This means consciousness is not separate from matter. It interacts with it. The field is not some abstract mystical idea. It is the invisible ocean of energy that underlies everything. Every thought, every state of being sends ripples into that ocean. The ripples interfere, overlap, and collapse into the reality experienced in physical form. The observer is the one sending those ripples. That is why stillness matters. That is why presence matters. The calmer the water, the clearer the reflection. When the observer rests in awareness rather than in frantic seeking, the ripples become coherent. Coherence creates resonance. Resonance creates reality. This is why practices like meditation, breathing, or even simple awareness exercises have been emphasized across traditions. They aren't magical because of the rituals themselves, but because they tune the observer. They bring the frequency back into coherence. A mind scattered across 1,000 worries sends chaotic ripples. A mind anchored in presence sends a clear signal. And the field, always faithful, mirrors it back. The true power of manifestation is not in the ritual, it is in the state of the observer using the ritual. Without the shift of identity and presence, the tools are empty. With the shift, even the simplest act of awareness can move mountains. The question then is simple. Will you continue being the seeker, affirming lack with every search? Or will you step into the role of the observer, the one who knows, the one who watches, the one who shapes reality through awareness? That choice is where freedom begins. Searching keeps you in the vibration of absence. Observing roots you in the vibration of presence. And presence is the birthplace of every miracle. At this point, the truth is becoming clear. Searching is the great illusion. It keeps the dream at a distance. The observer dissolves that illusion. By resting in awareness, by embodying trust, by shifting identity, reality bends in response. This is not theory. It is not wishful thinking. It is the deepest law of coherence. What is observed from wholeness must reflect wholeness. What is observed from presence must reflect presence. And when observation becomes conscious, life transforms from a struggle into a dance. Think of how life already works in small, unnoticed ways. A song appears on the radio at the exact moment the words were needed. A stranger offers advice that feels like an answer to a silent prayer. An opportunity arises at the perfect time, without any effort to make it happen. These are not coincidences. These are glimpses of resonance. The field is always listening, always arranging itself around the frequency of the observer. The challenge is not that life is ignoring you. The challenge is that life is perfectly obeying the signal you are sending. This is why alignment is less about doing more and more, about becoming aware. The rituals, the affirmations, the practices, they can be powerful tools, but only when they come from a state of presence. Without that state, they reinforce the search. With that state, they become amplifiers of coherence. And the moment coherence is established, the field cannot resist. It must mirror back. Reality is not random. It is precise. It is mathematical. It is alive. But stepping into the role of the observer is not always easy. The mind is addicted to seeking. It wants to control, to chase, to grasp. It believes safety lies in effort. Yet the real safety lies in surrender, because surrender reconnects the observer with the intelligence of the field itself. Imagine waves crashing in chaos, until suddenly the ocean grows still. In the stillness, clarity emerges. That is what surrender feels like. It is not weakness. It is alignment. It is saying yes to the field, yes to resonance, yes to the truth that what you seek is already within. This shift is not about giving up goals or desires. It is about remembering that desire is already a signal of what exists in potential. The fact that the desire exists means the frequency already lives within the field. The role of the observer is not to chase that desire, but to match it. By embodying the feeling now, by observing reality from the state of already being, the desire collapses into form. This is how miracles unfold. They are not magic tricks. They are coherence crystallized into matter. And here is the most liberating realization. You do not need to earn alignment. You do not need to prove worth to the universe. Alignment is your natural state. Every moment of presence is alignment. Every act of awareness is alignment. The only barrier is the belief that something is missing. Remove that belief, and the search ends. The field does not need convincing. It only needs clarity. And clarity comes when the observer remembers. So take this with you. Every time the urge to chase arises, pause. Notice the space around you. Notice the breath. Remember that the act of noticing is the act of creation. You are not separate from the dream. You are not waiting for the field to deliver. The field is waiting for you to observe differently. Every thought is a lens. Every state of being is a choice of reality. Choose to observe from wholeness. Choose to observe from presence. Choose to embody the identity of already being. And then watch as the field mirrors that state back with precision. Now the invitation is simple. No more chasing, no more searching. Step fully into the role you were meant to play. The observer, the creator, the one who shapes reality through awareness. Feel it now. Breathe it now. Live it now. Because the truth is, everything you've been searching for is already here, waiting for your observation to call it into form. And here's the call to action. If this message resonated, let it be the moment you stop searching and start observing. Comment, "I am the observer," below to anchor this truth into your reality. Share this video with someone who needs the reminder that alignment is not out there, it is right here. And if you are ready to step deeper into this path, subscribe, because together we are creating a space where seekers become observers, where alignment is remembered, and where miracles are the natural state. Your reality is waiting. The field is listening. Observe wisely.